going, guys? Jeff here. So today is Tuesday. I just came back from work. Right now it's about 8:40 p.m. The market's going to be opening in less than an hour, so let's get this news out of the way, okay? But first of all, well, if you guys have not followed me on Instagram, like seriously, right now, over here at Hauser, I actually posted a story basically talking about the brief summary of what this entire news session we're having today is going to be about, which is basically about what Jerome Powell actually had said during the NABE event, the NABE event, which is an annual event. And, Jerome Powell was actually quite candid in the whole event. And, of course, something that actually happened. So before anything, I'm just going to be showing you guys what actually happened. Okay.
Chair Kelly said that nothing would stop the Fed from raising by 50 basis points in May if it indeed decided that it needed to do so. He's not saying for sure that that's what the Fed will do, but he's saying nothing will stop, and he made clear that.
All right, so over here you can tell, okay, nothing would prevent 50 basis point rate hike at May Fed meeting. So what do we actually unpack from this? Actually, nothing. Okay, because this is actually something that has already been stated quite clear cut to all of us in the March FOMC meeting. Okay, which is when Jerome Powell basically just came out to say that this meeting is going to be raising by 25%, and we're going to be getting 25 basis point increment, and we're going to be getting 25 basis point increment every 7 weeks, just like how we actually had at the start of the decade, the start of the century in 2003, 2004. And of course, that's what we're actually expecting. That's what Jerome Powell said that we should be expecting as well. And that's kind of his whole inflation expectation, and of course his economic projection that he actually had. So in this so-called like meeting, this annual meeting that he actually had, the whole interviewer asking him point blank, like what would prevent you guys, which is the Federal Reserve, from getting a 50 basis point increment in the next Federal meeting? And honestly speaking, Jerome Powell just said very, very candidly, well, nothing, maybe an executive summary or something, which kind of blow out a very, very big point here, because nothing's going to stop the Federal Reserve from doing a 50 basis point, a 75 basis point, or even a 100 basis point increment. Because let's be honest here, okay, this whole Russia-Ukraine situation is going to continue being a huge issue, okay? And of course, we do not really see the end of it yet. Okay, as much as there might be ceasefire talks about it, as much as there might be, Zelensky talking about how he's willing to get, not even give up on the fact that he will actually join NATO, whatever it is. Okay, all these possible peacemaking efforts might actually come up here and there. But at the end of the day, let's be honest here, we don't really see an end to this entire situation as of now, and that's why commodity prices are still going to be at large. Later on, we'll be talking a little bit about the EU side of things as well. I thought that it's going to be quite interesting for us to actually include into this today's news segment as well. But yeah, I'm not sure why the market was a little bit shocked that Jerome Powell was saying that nothing would prevent a 50 basis point rate hike. Because let's be honest here, I think that the Federal Reserve has been very, very transparent with us. I think Jerome Powell has been very, very transparent with us, okay? As much as you want to bash on Jerome Powell, I think that he has been a very, very transparent federal chairman, okay? And I think that he actually just come out to tell us, we have a very strong labor market with a very strong employment market. We have a very strong economy at the moment, okay? It's a hot economy, hot real estate economy. Everything is good. So this is actually the best time for us to actually increase rates. Whereas, maybe if you're already in a recession, it's not going to be a very good time for you to actually increase rates, because it's going to make it even worse. But, when it's a hot economy, it kind of makes sense for you to kind of gradually increase the rates, which is fine. Okay, 25 basis point increment, that's kind of what we're expecting to begin with. So when, people ask about the 50 basis point increment, I just thought that it's kind of like a no-brainer for us. Of course, nothing's going to prevent that, because if we get much data, which, is going to be coming very, very soon in about 3 weeks or so, if we see anything along the line of like oil prices going up 20%, I'm not going to be surprised that, we are going to suddenly see a huge bump up in terms of our inflation data, okay? Like, I would imagine that even the consensus on the street, we might actually see 1% for the month-over-month, which is going to be one of the highest month-over-month data that we have been since, I think, 20 years or so, which is why I think that's going to be one of the more scarier thing that, of course, is going to be present in the market. And of course, like I said before, what Biden always says about this as well, which is, you have to blame Putin on this. But I don't want to just blame Putin on this, because of course this is like commodity prices going out of control, but it's also on top of a inflating economy at the same time. So I don't push everything to just Putin alone. Of course, Putin is also putting a lot of pressure on the inflationary pressure, of course. Okay.
Would go to 50 basis point rate hikes if it needed to, as well as go above neutral. Here's what he said earlier in his speech.
If we conclude that it is appropriate to move more aggressively by raising the federal funds rate by more than 25 basis points at a meeting or meetings, we will do so. And if we determine that we need to tighten beyond common measures of neutral and into a more restrictive stance, we'll do that as well.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Like, it kind of makes a lot of sense for us to really we put ourselves in Jerome Powell's shoe, okay? We have the best economy right now. For us to really tighten the monetary policy. And if we don't do it now, when we actually eventually get into a recession in the near or long future, whatever it is, a recession is going to be coming, okay? We do not know when, okay? But when a recession is here, then you want to start to do this kind of thing, it kind of makes sense. So I do think that what Jerome Powell is doing right now kind of makes sense. But at the same time, of course, the SPY wasn't really appreciating the fact that Jerome Powell did what he did, which is why the SPY basically dropped from $445. The moment Jerome Powell said that, it went all the way down to $440, which is $5 difference. And FYI, $5 difference is about a good 2%-ish. So yeah, well, 1%, I would say, because the things that, 1%-ish. And of course, 1% on the SPY is kind of bad. So yes, fair enough though. And then afterwards, the futures kind of just rebounded, simply because we kind of understand that there was no surprise. There was no surprise. We all expected this to happen, okay? And the only reason that everyone was kind of shocked was basically because this kind of came out of left field. And I don't think it even came out of left field. I thought that was kind of what was priced into the market to begin with, which is why I was kind of right in essence of that, because, the price of the SPY was $445.87 before we kind of have like some form of a waiver downwards, where Jerome Powell kind of talked about the whole 50 basis point thing. Right now, the SPY is at $445.71, which is about like 10 cents difference. And that's what I mean by like a huge recovery in terms of like people just realizing that, this has already been priced in the market. But of course, like I said before, I do have covered calls on some of my positions, but it's simply just for me to kind of protect myself, just in case, the market is kind of a very, I would like to say the market is kind of sensitive to a lot of new information at the same time. So I just thought that, I would like to hedge against some of my position. But of course, I'm going to be getting out of them later on, which doesn't really affect me. I might lose about like $100 or so, or I might just leave it as it is and just let it expire out of money, so that I'll just get a free premium for free. Because I basically just locked in for about a $300 or so. It's just a free $300 buy ride. So I might just let it expire. I'll see how it goes actually. So, all right, now with the Jerome Powell thing out of the way, let's get back into the news. Okay, so this was basically Jerome Powell. Okay. So let's talk about the China Eastern Airlines, the Boeing 737 crashes in China. Let's do a refresh to see if there's any new information. Okay, so there were 132 people on board. And earlier today in the morning, I actually saw a video on TikTok. I'm not sure if this is true or not. I did see a video of the whole entire crash happening, where it just fell vertically down to the ground. Of course, right now, I don't think that there were any confirmation on it. Of course, crash specialist, I'm pretty sure that the Bloomberg actually have something to say about that. Over here, even crash specialists are kind of baffled by this nosedive, this vertical crash downwards to land, where a lot of people is not very, very sure of what's actually happening. Okay, there's a handful of crashes in which an airliner plunged from cruising altitude. Few, if any, fit the extreme profile of the Boeing 737, as it pointed steeply towards the ground. According to a veteran crash investigator and previous accident reports, it's an odd profile. Okay, it's hard to get the airplane to do this. And yeah, they kind of just show some visual aids for how the plane actually go through the whole crashing simulation and such. Overall, it plunged almost 26,000 feet in the span of roughly 1 minute and 35 seconds. The plane dive appeared to have halted for about 10 seconds and it climbed briefly, adding an unusual twist to the scenario by the flight radar 24 track, which is based on radio transmission from the plane, and it showed it resuming a steep plunge. So yeah, like I said, okay, honestly speaking, I'm not a crash specialist or anything, so I don't think I'm gonna be giving much valuable feedback to this. But I just thought that it was something that I should probably let you guys in on, just in case you guys were wondering. All right, next up, Iran's nuclear deal final hurdle is lifting terrorism sanctions on Revolutionary Guards. U.S. allies, including Israel, want the IRGC to remain on the list of foreign terrorist organizations. The efforts to revive the 2015 nuclear deal agreement now hinges on perhaps the most politically sensitive issue in the negotiation: whether to remove the U.S. terrorism designation for Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards, the country's powerful security force, diplomats said. Let's see if there's anything interesting about this. I think it's just the same thing. They are just talking about the sanctions on the Revolutionary Guards, but I do think that it's going to be hard for them to actually get past, because of course right now they're actually talking about the whole Iran nuclear deal, which I think I covered about a week ago. And right now they are just basically saying that for them to actually go through with this entire nuclear deal, they have to lift the terrorism sanctions on the Revolutionary Guards, which I don't think that the US are going to be very interested in taking. But of course, it really depends on the terrorism sanctions, like what are they actually all about. But of course, at that time I wasn't really into the news. I might want to actually dive a little bit deeper into this, maybe over the weekends when I have a little bit more time. I'm actually quite busy at these days, so I cannot even promise much at the moment. So we'll see how it goes. But I do think that this Iran nuclear deal kind of thing is kind of, oh my god, I'm bleeding again. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. This is my 5th nosebleed. Okay. Anyway. Oh gosh, this is bad. Okay, the Iran nuclear deal, final hurdle. All right. Anyway, let's move on. The U.S. sending Soviet air defense system is secretly acquired to Ukraine. I thought that is actually quite interesting for us to actually look at it, because over time, U.S. basically just overtook some of the Soviet-made air defense equipment, and now they're basically using it against Russia, which basically kind of Soviet-made air defense against the Soviet. I thought that it was kind of interesting for us to actually cover this. But something that I really realized about this, going through all the Russia-Ukraine situation, I do think that I will probably just consolidate all the updates for just one day of the week where I actually go through everything. So it's not going to be so messy, just split up all over the places. So yeah, I'm just going to keep it as it is for now. Oh gosh. Okay. Oh God. Okay. Anyway, Germany secures gas deal with Qatar, but still needs Russia. I think this is quite an important one. I don't really want to, put this together with the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, although it is considered as part of the coverage for the Russia invasion of Ukraine. But yeah, like I said before, Germany and France, they do need Russia a lot, as much as they are going to go through with this entire gas deal with Qatar. I do think that at the end of the day, they're still going to need Russia, or they might need another country that's going to be giving them the natural gas. So be it with Saudi Arabia or whatever it is, it kind of depends on how the EU actually treat this whole entire thing. So I just thought it was quite cool for us to go through this. All right. 2 more news. Okay, 2 more news so I can stop this nosebleed afterwards. EU supports growth for Russia oil ban over Ukraine war, and support for the European Union wide ban on the purchase of Russian oil is growing inside the bloc, and representing a significant shift in the continent's stance towards how to ratchet up economic pressure on Moscow. So I think that this kind of makes sense. Of course, people are kind of thinking of like how EU should definitely become more and more independent from the Russia itself. So they do not really want to depend on Russia for their oil as much as well. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. This is horrible. Okay. The EU supports. Anyway, so it kind of makes sense for the EU to not want to depend on Russia as much. But of course, like I said before, in the previous news with the Germany and France, okay, it's hard for them to not use Russia completely. But of course, they do need to find their secondary source as soon as they can. Of course, even for UK, they are also trying to find different sources for their crude and also their natural gases. So hopefully that's going to be working out for them. All right, anyway, I'm going to speak through this anyway. The last news, Xi Jinping risks leaving China isolated by backing Putin to counter US. Xi Jinping bet that establishing a no-limits friendship with Vladimir Putin could prevent the US from containing China. Now that agreement threatens to leave Beijing more isolated and alone. A phone call between Xi Jinping and Joe Biden on Friday appeared to achieve no major breakthroughs. The US continued to threaten unspecified consequences if China provides support to Russia, and Beijing insisted it was supporting peace talks while blaming the US for triggering the conflict. So, of course, I do think that this is a very, very agenda-driven from both states, be it from the US or from China themselves, because that, you know, either state, their media is going to be portraying different level of this entire situation. Okay, for the China side of things, they're probably going to think that, you know, Chinese, they are all going to be blaming the US. And of course, US, they're going to be blaming Chinese because, you know, they are the one that's behind Russia, and Russia's currently enemy number one. So it kind of makes sense for them to kind of go against each other and such. So of course, right now there's not going to be much breakthrough, and people are saying that the more Xi Jinping is actually trying to back Putin behind this no limit friendship, the more it's going to be putting China in jeopardy. And I do, like I said before, I have created a lot of video about it, talking about this entire situation. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'm gonna go clear my nosebleed as soon as I can, so I can prepare to shower, and actually I have to make dinner as well for market open. But I'll see how it goes. My name, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm so sorry for this nosebleed.